So when people take ski trips to Colorado, you typically hear people planning to go to Breckenridge, Vail, Keystone, or Winter Park. And for the more serious skiers, probably a basin. However, there's one ski resort that is slept on when it comes to Colorado trips, and that would be Copper. Copper is still a very popular resort, don't get me wrong, but I don't feel like it gets as much hype as the others do. What is happening, everybody? I hope you all are having a happy Friday. This Friday is a happy Friday because it's the last day of July, which means we got another off-season month down and just 2 more to go. I don't know about you, but I for sure do have the off-season blues myself. I got a new pair of skis sitting in the garage waiting to be used. The very first ski resort I got to test them out on towards the end of last season was Copper, which we'll be discussing in today's video.
7 inches of towel.
So Copper may be a very popular ski resort, but unfortunately it kind of gets skipped over compared to other mountains in Summit County. Breckenridge and Vail are the 2 most visited ski resorts in North America, but right in between the 2 places you have Copper Mountain. Not necessarily in ranking, but in location, I should say. There are a lot of perks that Copper Mountain has to offer that people take for granted. Breckenridge, in my honest opinion, is an incredibly flawed mountain. Its east-facing geography, which diminishes the snow preservation. It is the windiest ski resort in Colorado, which makes going there very annoying, especially if you want to ski high alpine bowls. The very flat catwalks to get to certain parts of the mountain, and the many choke points it has with how busy it gets. I could make a long list of complaints about Breckenridge, but this video isn't about Breckenridge. Vail is a great resort, but it is a farther drive from Denver, and it can get a bit expensive to ski there, with all the microtransactions there are. However, what I like about Copper is it seems to avoid most, if not all, of those problems that I just mentioned. I skied 14 days at Copper this season, and I have no regrets. And there is something about that place that just keeps bringing me back. Something very special. It kept bringing me back so much that I want to marry it. Just kidding. That would actually be Steamboat that I would want to marry.
I'll just do these trees.
One thing that makes Copper so great is Copper is one of 2 ski resorts in Summit County that has convenient free parking, the other being Keystone. Every other Summit County resort you either have to pay for parking or you have to take an inconvenient bus. There's a bus you can take from the Copper parking lot if you don't feel like walking to the East Village, and the bus runs very efficiently. You'll be waiting 10 minutes tops for the bus at Copper, and that is if you get very unlucky. Will you have to wait that long? There's plenty of free parking in the Alpine parking lot, and if it gets really busy, then everybody overflows in the Far East lot, which is a bit too far to walk in ski boots, but once again, the bus system works very well. Unfortunately, the drawback to Copper's parking is on powder days, the traffic getting into the Copper parking lot could get so bad it backs up onto the I-70, and even slows down I-70 itself at extreme occasions. If you don't want to deal with the headache of the parking or the traffic, you can take the snow staying to Copper from Denver. Copper is also on the Summit County bus system, so if you have a place in Summit County or you're renting an Airbnb in Summit County, you can hop on their bus and take it into Copper. Copper is also located right off of the I-70, so there isn't any long and slow road you have to take to get there after you get off the highway. One thing I absolutely hated about Breck is the 30-minute drive it takes to get there from the Frisco exit on I-70. So compared to most other ski resorts, I would say Copper's accessibility is a pro. Another great thing about Copper is its reliability. Copper's reliability was greatly displayed by the 2026 ski season. 2026 was an absolutely tragic year for Colorado skiing, and Copper did feel it as well. But Copper was one of the few resorts in Colorado that got over 90% of its terrain open at peak snowpack. Despite the piss-poor snowpack, Copper was able to get its ski season fairly close to normal. Copper has some of the best snowmaking infrastructure in Colorado, rivaling Keystone, So even when it took longer for the real snow to come in, at least they were able to disperse crowds a lot quicker. Copper was one of the first resorts in Colorado to get off-piste skiing open in the 2026 ski season as well. In the springtime, Copper's snowmaking infrastructure really paid off. In 2026, Colorado's snowpack peaked very early due to a very brutal warm spell in the second half of March that depleted the very little snowpack we had. Many ski resorts were forced to close early. Breckenridge was struggling in mid-April, which they typically close in May. I remember seeing videos of people skiing Breckenridge on closing day, and they were basically skiing on fucking dirt. It was that bad. Their east-facing geography must have really worked out for them in 2026, huh? Copper, however, was one of 2 ski resorts in Colorado that got to have a May closing day. And on top of that, they got to have top-to-bottom skiing on that closing day, despite the wild season that we had. So that was fucking clutch of Copper. I was even doing sunset laps at Copper on the evening of my birthday. And you might think after they close for the season, it's all over. No, it's not. Skiing at Copper doesn't stop even after the lift stops spinning for the season. Copper typically farms snow for their summer terrain park, and they usually make it last into the fall. It is very difficult to get into the program that allows you to actually ski it, but it is a thing. Now, you cannot make a video glazing Copper without talking about the terrain parks, because that is the one thing that Copper absolutely excels at. I don't think that there's a ski resort in the world that has better terrain parks than Copper. Now, I'm not going to say much about it because I don't ski park, so it's not really my area of expertise. However, one thing I did notice when I was there was how many different terrain parks they had. They pretty much have some type of competition course off of every single lift, at least on the front side. They have all different types of varieties of terrain park. It's insane. They have this huge half pipe right above the center village. I did try a couple of times, but I didn't really do it all that much because once again, it's not really my thing. But if you're a park rat, I don't see why the fuck you wouldn't go to Copper. Now, unfortunately, Copper isn't really known to have the most exciting expert terrain, and it does not really have that unique of gnar. So I can see why it can be skipped over by a lot of advanced skiers. However, the advanced and expert terrain won't lull you to sleep either. My friend Link Skiing made a video called Copperwood, inspired by Squallywood for Squaw Valley, California. He did one for Copper. He basically took all of the Copper Bowl and named every unique line he could find there. Just watching the video made a lot of people who weren't interested in skiing Copper all of a sudden interested. It's basically like he just made some free advertising for Copper. So if I were Powder, I'd fucking hit him up on that video and make that an ad for Copper. Anyway, with all jokes aside, if you want more challenge at Copper, I recommend going when it's low tide. So make sure you try and time your trip to be during the early season, just right when the Spalding Bowl or the Copper Bowl opens, to try and ski that before it fills in. I think that that's your best bet if you want to squeeze the most challenge that you can out of Copper. The reason why I love Copper is that I can consistently have a good day skiing there. I have had my fair share of bad days at Winter Park, Breckenridge, Keystone. Hell, even Vail and Arapahoe Basin, I've had a few bad days skiing at those places. At Copper, however, a lot has to go wrong to have a bad day skiing there. Copper is a place I know where I can go and not have to deal with bullshit. I know where I can go to bail away from the long lines. I know where the good snow is, no matter what the conditions are. Parking is very easy. There are almost no catwalks, and the resort is just big enough to where I don't get bored. Just the fact that there's no bullshit at Copper is what keeps bringing me back. Copper is my favorite ski resort in Summit County, not because it has the best terrain, but it's a ski resort in Summit County that's the least flawed. The ease of just having an enjoyable ski day at Copper versus having to roll the dice with paid parking, long lines, bad snow quality, and a lot of the other issues with any of these other ski resorts is what keeps me coming back to Copper. A close second would probably be A-Bay, but parking there now costs money, and I find the snow, at least on the runs that I want to ski, to not be as consistent in between storms. I really like the Beavers area there, but the conditions can be so hit or miss there. Also, most of that resort is above tree line, so if visibility is piss poor dog shit, or is very windy, it's not ideally the place I want to be. So even though A Basin is the legend, it isn't really perfect for me either. It's crazy now I think back, a lot of people were puzzled by why I say Copper is my favorite ski resort in Summit County, and I was never really able to necessarily explain it very well. So now I just did a video explaining it a lot better, I think. So I hope that clarifies that. It's not about conquering steeps, it's not about finding unique terrain, it's about having an enjoyable ski day with ease. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I do sincerely apologize for the lack of uploads in the last month and a half. My motivation to edit videos took a nosedive off a mountain, so I took a break. Anyway, I'm hoping to resume weekly uploads now and get back into business. I hope you all enjoyed. Discord link in the description. Please leave your feedback down below, and I'll see you all next time. Peace out!